E agora é a altura.
And now's the time for us to look at what we were talking about in terms but from the point of view of the consumer.
É óbvio que qualquer.
So it's obvious that any business must take into account the reactions before, during, and after the consumption. That is how we should see all these different digital instruments to interact with the consumer. And so we're going to see Pedro Gonçalves from Teleperformance. Sorry about the delay. And so now we're going to see from the point of view of the consumer. Well, before we talk about the experience of the consumer, we're going to talk about the experience that we've had based on the work we've done, both in-house and out-house with our clients. And we're going to talk about the consumer's experience and to see if we can outline such experience in the future. Now, the companies that work with us, and as we have seen the two kinds of approaches that brands have had in terms of these enhanced reality. We've had activations, so the more ad hoc, that support the normal life cycle of the consumer, with small points of activation that help the post-sales service. I think that most of you know the example of IKEA that through enhanced reality allows us to map some pieces of furniture in our residence. If I were to buy a sofa, I can, through an application of enhanced reality, put the sofa in my room, and it will be much more easy for me to make the decisions. And I put it in this position. This is going to allow us to shorten my sales cycle. And what IKEA is trying to do is to create this emotion. As a consumer, I can actually see the end product of my purchase. In addition to these more punctual activations in this, there's also other approaches that are focused more on virtual reality, possibly on the creation of metaverse store or immersive reality. And then there we have a number of challenges to overcome in this experience. Well, I would like to highlight three of them, which have already been mentioned today. One of them has got to do with infrastructure technology. 5G is coming to solve some things. Charlie says 5G is probably not enough. 6G will probably have to have, and so we have the question of the multiplicity of metaverses. Well, there is a difficulty in understanding what is the solution, what is the platform that we can use, and where we should position ourselves in order to reach our end customers. And we could see the third one is the equipment itself, which is used to get access to these immersed reality. I mean, the special gloves, suits, goggles, and so it doesn't allow us to have we don't have the equipment that allows us to have a sort of prolonged experience. So these are three challenges that I believe the technology is advancing. And so with presentations that we've seen here this morning, we know we're going to get them, but some of the challenges that have to be considered. The brands, however, are interacting or doing a lot of experimentation in this area. We've talk about the value, what the value is, how can I improve my performance, and the truth of the matter is that there's still a lot to learn in this area, and in the reality it's important to know the experience that I'm going to have with these brands, and the reality is the omni-channel viewpoint. And so we have to, this has to make sense for the final, for the end client, because if not, it's not going to be successful. Now, the way we in Teleperformance are addressing these topics, that is the first approach. We have to understand this thing about technology. We cannot create value, cannot create purpose if we don't have an understanding with technology or an understanding of technology. So it was like a startup. And so we created a number of acceleration programs where we tried out different equipment, different platforms, different business areas. We involved our organization in this initiative at a global level. We began to work in the sandbox mode at home. We improved the experience of what we call the life cycle of the employee. And so we worked on the recruitment processes, training processes. And so we also worked from a more social component of virtual campus. How could we improve the engagement of workers? Does it make sense having these immersive technologies? Or will we have technologies with these technologies when we address these topics? And so we also had these immersive technologies with our stress reduction program in Metaverse that creates a specific world in order to carry out activities of this type in terms of relaxation and social and group activities that will contribute to the well-being of our workers, of our employees. But this was our sandbox, and this is where we had the feel fast perfect. We learned a lot. And we wanted to know where we could captivate value, and so we had to attract value, and so we had to work. And this is where we started working with our clients. We have a digital twin of our offices, and then we started to design a process of co-creation with our clients. We designed a customer journey of the clients, of the companies with which we work, to find out where we can add value. Now, this process, we call it a extended reality lab, which begins with an initial immersion of this technology in order to understand exactly what the realities is. And so we started with the process to try and define together what were the touch points or the ways we could give value of these technologies. Then we had prototypes, tests, and at the end of the day, the definition of the final product. Now, this approach that we have with our clients, two critical success factors appeared in this approach, our metaverse approach. One of them is from the management of contents and communities. The final, the end client is ready to have an experience in metaverse with a solution for the added value. Randy is going to continue being there, being present, if he feels good there, if he has a component of community management which makes him continue to be there and have a sort of an added value every time he goes to visit this metaverse. And another success factor is the fact that it only makes sense to be in one of these immersive environments if I need some help or some assistance and can do this in one of these immersive environments. If not, then we're going to lose some of the experiences that we're trying to go more immersive, more emotional, more connection. And it's important for us to be able to guarantee this immersion within these environments. And so basically that is what I wanted to share with you today. And so in short, this is a client-centered focus, and to make sure that these initiatives of the extended reality are part of the part of the two critical factors, which is the community management and the other is the support within these immersive environments. Thank you very much.
Pela sua participação neste.
Thank you very much for your participation